One thing I'll tell my younger self is to be more patient with my goals, set smaller, realistic goals, and take my time to accomplish each one.
One thing I like to tell my younger self is to enjoy the journey to success and not to pressure yourself as much, and also to connect more with friends and family.
One thing I tell my younger self, you're allowed to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. Don't overthink it. The important thing though, learn and grow from it.
One thing I'd tell my younger self is be patient. Remember, life is a journey, it's not a destination. Enjoy every single part of that journey.
Adrian, so we live in a society where masculinity tends to focus on a man being unfazed, right? As a man, you're supposed to be strong. But why are certain attributes ignored? Why are men seen as stone and not human?
As a man, yes, we have a role in society, and that role is one of nurturing and protecting. But for us to really endorse or build on that role of nurturing, we also have to embrace the other side. As a man, it's important to be masculine, but you have to also embrace the feminine side, the nurturing side of us as well.
I can relate to that, if I'm being honest, because we live in a digital society.
Yes.
Certain things, of course, are stressed. I guess we all can relate to that, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
So, to be honest, it's just that fake perception of what masculinity is, and it's just an ongoing issue in today's society. And I don't go by that notion. I want to be someone who inspires other people to become better, to become stronger men, but at the same time, you have to be a loving man.
Touching on that point you raised a while ago, you spoke about people trying to associate macho, masculine, and aggression, which is not necessarily the case. You can be masculine, but you can also be very loving. So my advice to any young man growing up, don't subscribe to this idea that big man no cry or that man behave in a particular way.
Yeah.
You can, it is okay to cry. It's okay to be in touch with your feelings so that you can understand them and learn to interpret the feelings of others as well.
So Josh, what I would like to understand, just from your perspective, what is the conversations with your peers as it relates to your views on success? How do you view success? What's your roadmap?
I tend to set goals in which I strive to achieve, right? And discussing that amongst my peers is one of the things that really helps me to achieve these goals. Because if I am talking or I surround myself with, for lack of a better word, idlers, they'll drag me alongside with them. So I tend to surround myself with more like-minded people that have the same goals and are going in the same direction. How I really tend to measure it is I set certain goals that needs to be achieved at certain time.
Okay.
So if I set a goal for, say, the end of this year, right, I always strive to achieve that. And for me, that would be success, and that would be used as a means to calculate that success.
But how do you handle distractions? I mean, there are going to be things that derail you from these goals. And I know you said that you surround yourself with like-minded persons. But there are going to be those persons in that group that is going to say, no, man, you don't need no house, man. You need a van, you need a car can skate on toll. And, how do you handle that level of distraction?
If I'm going to have people come and telling me something negative towards what I want to achieve, at the end of the day, I'm going to be the one who reaps the success or reaps the failure. It won't be them. So I tend to condition my mind to think that, not selfish, but to think that I want to achieve this, so I now have to aim towards it. So if my friend is gonna be pessimistic about what I want to achieve in life, I'd cut them off. I have to have that discipline to know that, okay, I want this for myself and my family, so I now have to go for it.
So Josh, you said something a while ago that really resonated with me. 2 points in particular. One is you're not afraid to cut off friends or quote-unquote friends that are bad influences. And that's an important discipline to have in life, you have to have enough self-awareness to realize that the people around you may not necessarily be guiding you down the right path, and if so, you need to have them out of your life. And the other thing that I really liked about what you said was the discipline to set goals and stick to them. And what you're going to find, and this hold true for all of you, throughout life, it really is about disciplines. And discipline is just, having the stick-to-itiveness to set something and follow through with it. The only thing that I will add to what you said, because those are some real gems, is when you're setting goals, you're very young. Don't be too hard and fast, and don't be too hard on yourself. Make sure you build enough flexibility into your goals to allow for things that may not necessarily go your way. So you may want to own a home by age 22, but don't be disheartened if it doesn't happen at age 22.
It's very important to set goals for yourself, of course, but what I find is that some of these little activities that happen while you are going for that goal, those are the true treasures of your life. I can share an experience when I attended a camp where I learned how to program, and I found that not only did I learn how to program, which was, the reason why I went,
right,
but the interactions that I made, the people that I met, the things that I learned outside of the course, those are the true treasures.
You're the saying, show me your friends and it shows me who you are. It's very, very true. And as you progress, as you mature, it still remains true. The persons in your inner circle, they influence you, and you need to be able to have a few core persons who you can trust to give you unfiltered feedback, to tell you really how it is. Josh, no, you were wrong, you made a mistake. Who can you trust to really give you that kind of feedback consistently? And know that they have your best interest at heart consistently. There's no hidden agenda. Being very, very intentional around who is in that inner circle, for me, is very, very important as well as you progress.
So your parents definitely will be a set of people that form part of your inner circle. So the age that you're at now, you may be in conflict sometimes with your parents and the rules that they may be setting down, but as you grow older, you will realize the wisdom in the things that they are saying. So definitely, it may be hard sometimes, and I can tell you this from speaking as a parent, but there is some knowledge and wisdom in what they're saying. So definitely listen to those treasures and hold on to those treasures that your parents are giving to you.
In all honesty, one of the most important life lessons that I've learned is that your parents, they have your best interests at heart. No matter the circumstances, no matter what, they will always be there for you. And they'll always love you for who you are and what you will bring to the table. And that's one thing that I think is a very powerful element, especially when building yourself to become a successful man. Know to love yourself. And that's how you will love others.
And I think as young men especially, when we reach a certain age, it's like we don't want our parents to talk to us.
Yes.
And it's like, even for me, I am guilty as charged, but I think that parents always push their child's interest at heart. They always want the best for their child.
So Josh, you're definitely wise beyond the years. I hope my children are listening to this. Realize that their father hasn't been telling them foolishness. Yes, listen to your parents.
The reality of life is that you don't know what you don't know.
True. It's true.
Sometimes parents, adults, they don't necessarily communicate it the right way, but it's with good intention, right?
That's good
And
intention.
they know what they went through, their own experiences, and they're trying to find some way to derail you from that path and communicate that.
So Mario, a statement that I've heard so much from young boys is that we just want to grow up already. And honestly, I'm guilty of that too. Then I hear from my teachers, adults, even guardians, that they wish they were kids again. What do you think of that? How do you feel that they balance out?
So they both have their advantages.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when I was your age, I thought the same thing. I know the reason why you probably want to grow up. You want to leave that restriction of being at home, of mommy saying, what time you coming in, where you going? No, you can't do this.
Definitely.
And,
Yes.
and that
You guys
again,
familiar with that, right?
it has its place. But comparing that to now, it has its advantage. I mean, financial stability is what, you think that I will get this by growing up, but you have to work much harder. So being at school, you leave in the morning, mommy say, here's your lunch money. When you go into work, there's nobody to say, here's your lunch money.
If only, right?
Yeah, there might be somebody saying, where is my lunch? So the difference is definitely, there. You have to live your life through its stages.
True, true.
Enjoy each stage, because trust me, when you reach that stage where you're now independent and then you have dependence, as in persons depending on you, if you have a child and they're depending on you, then that is where most of us, I'm sure Adrian can relate to say,
Yes.
I wish I was a child again.
Yeah, the grass always seems green on the other side, right?
Oh, definitely.
Live in the moment, enjoy where you are now, grow in that moment, and you'll get there.
I know for us young men and pretty much us youth going to school, being in our parents' house has its advantage. I look forward to my father going into him wallet and giving me right? And I say, what a nice feeling to get some money in my pocket.
Growing up, there's a difference, because at the end of the month, your employer goes into his pocket and gives you, but you have to work for it.
Yeah.
Understand? And regardless, if you don't feel like showing up to work one day, you have to show up.
Mario, as a man in the working world, how do you find the experience of getting up each day to go to work?
So getting up to go to work each day is a different experience. So if you have good co-workers, you have a good relationship at work, then going to work, it makes it much easier.
Yeah.
You actually feel like going to work.
The environment.
The environment. On the flip side, if you know when you go to work, it's stressing, it's depressing, my boss pressure me, it makes you don't want to go. It makes you feel like it's a chore, it's a job.
Yeah.
And that's why they say if you do what you enjoy, you never work a day in your life. You have to create that experience at work to give you that mental freedom to feel that when I wake up in the morning, I want to go.
As Mario said, you can be working and it can be a hell.
Yeah.
Your environment is important. Try to make sure you're creating that right environment around you. Similar to school, you can be going to school and you say, mercy. If you don't have the right set of friends around you, school can seem like a chore. But if you like the classes you're doing, you like the people that you are around, school can seem like fun.
My question is, what is stressed more? The environment or the expectations of yourself? What is stressed more?
So that's a fabulous question. I'm not sure which one is stressed more. I would say to you, which one do you think is more important?
Right.
Do you think the environment is more important?
Yes, I do believe the environment is more important, because if I left my yard, me tired already, stress, I'm coming somewhere where that's depressing, I don't go on there.
Yeah.
No, but don't want there.
Because I think the stereotype around coming to school is that, boy, I have to go listen to that teacher talk for the next hour. She bored, right? And then you come to school every day, it becomes a routine of just waking up in the morning, getting up, putting on your clothes, getting in the car, and driving to school. I'm
going to tell you like a secret. The same thing when you go to work.
It's worse.
Times two.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't change.
You're doing this every day. So it's the same repetition. So you ask whether or not the environment is important. And the environment is important, but I think what is also important is how you handle that environment, your mindset. One of the most important things that one of my mentors told me was, Adrian, always try to reframe. So you can look at a particular situation and see it one way, and it brings stress upon you. But then you can look at that same situation and change it. You can change the way you look at it, and after you do that, you realize, I don't feel stressed anymore.
There's a lot of talk about success and pressure and stress, so I'd like to hear from you guys, in particular Adrian. How do you handle failure? So what is the greatest advice you've gotten so far in regards to failure, and how do you put that into action?
Good question.
Honestly, the greatest advice I've gotten would have to be from my friend Malcolm. The way I kind of admire the way he goes through past papers. Most of the questions are usually the answers are given with them. He practices them, and that really inspired me. But it really gives me a reason to just strive to do more, to be better. And hopefully one day I can become like one of you gentlemen, a very successful person.
Well, thank you for that endorsement. But it goes right back. You say how having good friends around you can encourage you to be a better version of yourself. And you can thank your parents for that, because your parents set that foundation for you and say, listen, choose your friends wisely.
Set that standard.
Failure, that's only defined by you.
Right.
You're the only person who will say, I have failed. Otherwise, it's a learning experience. And we'll all make mistakes along our path. And as you get older, those mistakes can get even more serious, right?
True.
But how do you rebound? How do you recover from this? How do you grow from it, right? And you're allowed to make mistakes. But I would say, as a man, try not to make the same mistake twice.
When I make mistakes, I tend to be hard on myself.
And tell me why.
It's because of how I was grown. So my dad had expectations of me. He still has expectations of me. So of course, he's pushing me to become the man that he wants me to be. And I feel like because of that, I focused mainly on my faults. And so I stressed on these faults, trying to, become a better person, when in reality, that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. So Matt, that's important, It's important to first internalize it, hold yourself accountable, right? You want to always achieve the best, be the best version of yourself. But after you have done that, how do you level up now and start solutioning? How do I now get past this? How do I get through this? How do I never do this again?
Right.
Right. So it's phases of the journey.
And that's the thing. It's hard because you have to be transitioning and you have to be killing parts of yourself in order to matriculate to another phase of your life, another phase of development. And that's something that should be stressed on.
I mean, I know this whole program is called Boys to Men, but you guys, you have a level of maturity. Men to men. You guys are fabulous. Gentlemen, I grew up in an age where there was no internet. Worst of all, there was nothing called social media.
That must be rough.
Believe me.
I can't relate, Matt.
As hard as it may believe, there was a world before the internet and social media. So my question to you really is, how do you manage peer pressure in this age, this high technology age of social media?
Well, honestly, sometimes social media isn't all that bad, When you scroll through, you kind of just nothing for do. And you enjoy life. You can see other people did anything there. And you're good.
That's a very interesting point that Adrian has. When you're scrolling on social media, you feel so relaxed. There's not really much to think about. You're just scrolling. But
you don't feel pressure. So, you're scrolling through and you see all these images, kids doing this, kids having that.
You have to remember when looking on social media is that really and truly, everything is a lie. Everything is smoke and mirrors.
Deception.
Most of the times, this is not what actually goes on in their life. We don't want to be all obsessed about it. We don't want to say, okay, I want to live this lifestyle like this person. We don't know what they're going through. We only see what they want us to see.
Person spend a lot of time on social media. How do you manage your time as it relates to social media?
Social media, I try to limit myself from that social media grasp, because if I spend too much time on social media, I get caught up and I just forget everything. I have so much responsibility. I just don't have the time to just lose on social media.
The way I manage social media is I keep myself busy. I might be learning a new skill, learning a new language. So I try to keep myself busy. So that way I can't sit and spend 2 hours on Instagram. The way how you can use social media to your benefit is, for example, in my line of work, on the investment side, I can follow business pages or news articles. That way I can get information faster, right? So you can use it to your advantage, and you have to remember, you can control what you see.
I'm not sure if everybody your age has that level of self-awareness to say,
A lot of time.
as you said, this is all fake. And as you said, I just don't have the time. I have responsibilities. How did you get that level of discipline to build those responsibilities, one, and be so aware that you're not going to let this thing consume you?
Well, to be honest, it has to do with my mindset. And a few years ago, 2 years ago, when COVID just hit, I can tell you my mindset was not like this. I was always on social media. My time, I would wake up in the mornings like normal time, 7 o'clock, and don't come out of my room, just on social media, playing games and all that. It was my dad said something to me, and I got up and I realized that, Joshua, you know that you really need to change, because looking at my future from where I was saying there's no good that can come from this.
Nicola, do you have any advice you give to young men in this generation about their first income, maybe sustain the income and how they can manage it?
What's important for young men to learn is financial literacy. So it doesn't mean how to make money, because you have a lot of people out here making money, but how to manage that money and turn that money into more money. So there's a lot of means that you can access, such as courses, books, novels, and so forth. For young men your age, it's good to start with books. I know you have libraries at your schools and so forth. They should have books that can point you in the right direction.
And just to add to it, I think one of the important things too is becoming familiar with money and how to handle money. And a lot of it really boils down to certain basic disciplines. Are you the kind of person that when you dip into daddy wallet and take out the money, are you going to spend everything that you have? Or are you going to put aside some of it? Having that discipline of putting aside, saving, I think is probably one of the best first steps for anyone your age.
Making money isn't easy, but keeping money is even harder.
As I listen to all of you speak, the one thing that I hear coming out and it's making me feel so warm in my heart is that you said your father stepped in and said, Joshua, you need to take a look at this. At the heart of all of this is role modeling of behaviors. And what is happening? Your father is building a discipline in you. You are now becoming a man, and those same disciplines you are going to impart on a future generation. So it's important, and I mean, this rap session is very good because, you know, we get to see how important it is. The people that we have in our lives and the support system that we have in our lives can really determine the kind of life that we have and the kind of legacy that we leave. So I'm happy to hear that you guys have very good role models in your lives.